What happens when a 77-year-old California icon that never closed a single restaurant in its entire history suddenly walks away from a profitable location? When a billionaire says her home state is too dangerous and expensive even for her? Today, we're diving into the shocking story of In-N-Out Burger's exodus from California and what it means for every American city. We'll cover the crime crisis that forced this legendary company to shut down, the massive business migration happening right now, the staggering numbers behind California's economic collapse, and why mayors across America should be paying attention. This isn't just about burgers, this is about the future of American cities. I'm William Scott, and if you want to understand the economic earthquakes reshaping America, you're in the right place. Hit that subscribe button and drop a comment below telling me, would your city's policies drive businesses away or keep them thriving? Let's get into it. For 77 years, In-N-Out Burger never permanently closed a restaurant. Not one. This family-owned California institution built its reputation on loyalty, stability, and never compromising. But March 24, 2024 changed everything. The company shut down its Oakland location after 18 years of operation. This wasn't a struggling restaurant, it was profitable and busy. So why close? The answer is terrifying. 1,335 police incidents in just 5 years. Let that sink in. 1,174 car break-ins, 9 robberies, and actual gunfire that sent bullets through the building. Security guards reported up to 5 break-ins per day. 5 per day. At a burger restaurant. COO. Denny Warwick was blunt. Police response times were alarming. For a company that prided itself on never abandoning a location, walking away was unthinkable until safety concerns left absolutely no choice. But here's what makes this even more significant. In-N-Out wasn't alone. In the same area, Denny's closed, 2 Starbucks locations shut down, Subway pulled out, and Black Bear Diner left. All citing the same reason. It was simply too dangerous to operate. When Mayor Eric Adams of New York examined the situation, he put it in stark terms. Oakland has 430,000 people. New York has 8.3 million. Yet their crime rate in commercial districts makes our worst neighborhoods look safe. This wasn't just a business decision. It was a verdict on California's complete failure to provide basic public safety. Lindsay Snyder, the billionaire owner and granddaughter of In-N-Out's founders, made an announcement that sent shockwaves through the business world. She was relocating her family to Tennessee, not expanding, moving. Her words on a podcast were remarkably direct. There's a lot of great things about California, but raising a family is not easy here. Doing business is not easy here. Think about what that statement means. This is a woman with unlimited resources, a billionaire who could afford the best security, the best schools, the best of everything California offers. And she's saying it's too expensive and too dangerous for her family. Mayor Adams seized on this point. A billionaire with unlimited resources says California is too expensive and too dangerous for her family. What does that mean for working families who don't have billions in the bank? In-N-Out generates $2.1 billion in annual revenue. Each store averages $5.8 million, higher than any other burger chain in America. Store managers routinely earn 6 figures. Entry-level workers start at $17 to $20 per hour with health insurance, paid vacation, and 401k benefits. This is a company that treats people right. Yet even with all that success, even with all those resources, California became untenable. The company that invented the drive-through, that never franchised a single location, that stayed 100% family-owned for 3 generations, was quietly shifting its future away from the Golden State. This wasn't about profit margins. This was about survival and sanity. While headlines focused on the Oakland closure, In-N-Out's leadership was already executing a strategic pivot. In January 2023, Tennessee Governor Bill Lee announced something massive: a $125.5 million investment from In-N-Out to build a new 100,000 square foot office in Franklin, Tennessee. The address? 1948 Double Double Drive, a tribute to the company's founding year. The facility would create 277 corporate jobs, averaging $90,000 per year. Mayor Adams studied the Tennessee deal closely and understood what was really happening. This wasn't just a satellite office. This was a deliberate foothold in a state where the cost of doing business and living looked very different from California. At the same time, In-N-Out began phasing out its Irvine, California office, with plans to close it by the end of the decade. For employees, this meant a difficult choice: adapt to a new corporate landscape or face uncertainty. The math was simple. In California, In-N-Out pays six-figure salaries to store managers, but those managers still struggle to afford housing. In Tennessee, the same salary goes twice as far. Lower taxes, lower crime, lower cost of living. The Franklin office became the strategic hub for In-N-Out's expansion across the Southeast, with plans for 35 new locations. For 77 years, In-N-Out refused to expand east of Texas. Now the logistics and economics had tipped the balance. The official messaging was about expansion, but the hard numbers revealed a different story. Power, investment, and opportunity were shifting east, away from California. In-N-Out's move wasn't an isolated incident. It was part of a massive migration that should terrify every policymaker in America. The Hoover Institution tracked 789 headquarters relocations out of California from 2011 to 2021. Since then, the pace has accelerated dramatically. Chevron, after more than 140 years in California, announced its move to Houston in August 2024. SpaceX shifted key operations to Texas. Oracle and Tesla made similar moves, keeping minimal presence in California but shifting investment and decision-making elsewhere. As Mayor Adams explained, the pattern is clear. Companies maintain a presence, but the center of gravity is moving out. California is becoming a place you visit for business, not where you actually do business. Adams commissioned his own study of business relocations, and the results were alarming. Companies leaving California cited 5 main factors: rising crime rates, regulatory burden, tax policy, cost of living, and declining infrastructure. But it gets worse. California's energy backbone was collapsing. In October 2024, Phillips 66 announced the closure of its Los Angeles refinery, taking 138,700 barrels per day offline by the end of 2025. Valero revealed its Benicia facility would shut down by April 2026, removing another 145,000 to 170,000 barrels daily. The combined loss, nearly 284,000 barrels every single day, erasing 17% of the state's refining capacity. Mayor Adams put it bluntly: when a state loses 17% of its energy production capacity while businesses flee to other states, that's not a temporary adjustment. That's economic collapse in slow motion. By December 2025, California's average gas price hit $4.29 per gallon, a full 1.45 higher than the national average of $2.84. For a state consuming 900,000 barrels of gasoline daily, the cost rippled through every delivery, every commute, every business. Mayor Eric Adams wasn't just commenting on California's problems. He was using them as a blueprint for what not to do in New York. New York has its challenges, but we're fighting to keep businesses here, Adams explained. We're reducing crime, streamlining regulations, and making it easier to do business. California is doing the opposite. The policy differences were stark. New York was investing in public safety, hiring more police officers, and prosecuting quality-of-life crimes. California was reducing police budgets, implementing no-cash bail policies, and effectively decriminalizing theft under certain amounts. Adams was direct. In-N-Out couldn't operate in Oakland because of 1,335 police incidents in 5 years. We're not going to let New York become Oakland. On tax policy, while California continued raising taxes on businesses and high earners, New York was offering targeted incentives to keep companies in the city. "We learned from California's mistakes," Adams said. "When you make it impossible to do business, businesses leave. When businesses leave, jobs disappear. When jobs disappear, tax revenue collapses. It's a death spiral that's entirely preventable." Adams commissioned a comparative study that revealed something surprising. Despite New York's reputation for high costs, doing business in Manhattan was becoming cheaper than operating in San Francisco or Los Angeles, when factoring in crime, regulation, and reliability of basic services. His declaration was unambiguous. "We're not going to be the next California. New York will remain a place where businesses want to grow, not escape from." In-N-Out's departure from California wasn't just a regional story. It was a warning signal for the entire American economy. When iconic American companies can't operate in America's largest state, that affects everyone, Adams explained during a national television interview. California represents 12% of the U.S. economy. If it collapses, we all feel the impact. The ripple effects were already visible across the country. As California companies relocated to Texas, Florida, Tennessee, and Arizona, they brought competition for workers, driving up wages and housing costs in destination cities. But they also imported California's problems: rising housing costs, traffic congestion, and strain on local services. Adams worried about a different scenario. What happens if New York starts following California's playbook? What happens if we decide that ideology matters more than results? That virtue signaling matters more than public safety? The In-N-Out story provided crystal-clear answers. A company that had never closed a location in 77 years walked away because the state couldn't provide basic services. A billionaire owner said raising a family and doing business had become too difficult in the very state that built her fortune. California had every advantage, Adams concluded. Perfect weather, talented workforce, established infrastructure, access to capital. They threw it all away with failed policies. We can't let that happen here. The choice facing every American city was simple: learn from California's mistakes or repeat them. Lindsay Snyder's move to Tennessee wasn't just a personal decision. It was a damning verdict on California's ability to maintain the business environment that created American success stories like In-N-Out Burger. For 77 years, In-N-Out embodied the California dream, a family business that treated employees well, never compromised on quality, and built lasting value without ever going public or franchising. When that company's owner says California is too dangerous and expensive for her family, it represents a complete failure of governance. The evidence was overwhelming. The Oakland closure after 335 police incidents showed what happens when basic government services collapse. The Tennessee expansion with its $125.5 million investment showed where opportunity was moving. California prioritized political posturing over public safety, regulatory purity over economic reality, and ideological conformity over practical governance. The result was entirely predictable. Businesses fled, crime increased, costs exploded, and even the most loyal California companies began looking for exits. Other states and cities now faced a fundamental choice: follow California's path of decline or chart a different course focused on results rather than ideology. Mayor Adams chose results. Investing in public safety, supporting businesses, and maintaining the services that make cities functional. The In-N-Out exodus served as a stark reminder that businesses have choices, and governments that fail their basic duties will lose both companies and the prosperity they create. When a burger chain that survived 77 years without closing a single location walks away from your state, that's not a business story. That's a failure of leadership. And it's a warning that every mayor, governor, and policymaker in America needs to hear. So there you have it. The In-N-Out story isn't just about one burger chain leaving California. It's about what happens when governments abandon their core responsibilities, when crime becomes acceptable, when businesses are treated as enemies rather than partners, and when ideology trumps reality. The question is, will other cities learn from California's mistakes, or are we going to watch this pattern repeat across America? I want to hear from you in the comments. Do you think your city or state is heading down California's path, or are leaders making the right choices? Are businesses thriving where you live, or are they packing up and leaving? Share your thoughts below. And if you found this deep dive valuable, smash that subscribe button and hit the notification bell so you don't miss the next investigation. Share this video with anyone who needs to understand what's really happening to American cities. This is William Scott, and I'll see you in the next one. Stay informed, stay engaged, and demand better from your leaders.